Hey beauties, good evening to you. So, gone are the days when people would get tired of watching the news, predominantly because of certain types of crime and violent acts or violence. For example, when you constantly would hear about murders, and it really would be disheartening to the ear, to the soul of a lot of Jamaican people. So for a while, I said to somebody, I don't even have to watch your news because I guarantee I can be an anchor and just predict what would happen. Two persons were shot and killed. Two persons met in a motor vehicle accident. Some were gunned down and so on. And I guarantee that I would be very much accurate. No, it is like, Jamaicans have this way of saying swapping the black dog for the monkey. I don't want to liken it because taking somebody's life in a heinous way is it still takes precedence in one of the most violent acts. But when I think of Jamaicans treated in an unjust and an unfair manner, I can't help but wonder if I should not use that same analogy. So I was listening to the current president, JTA's president. I don't remember his first name. I caught it on the news, his last name, Mr. Johnson. And I smiled, but it wasn't a good smile because he was saying, the headline basically stated that he's blasting the Ministry of Finance because they're really not doing their duty in light of the compensation review, that compensation package. And he mentioned in particular like graduate allowance and some other benefits that they're supposed to get. He even alluded to the fact that I don't know if it is the salaries that they're not adding up monthly, because he was talking about a monthly reduction. And the immediate past president, that beautiful, brilliant, that lady who is just like a lioness, I call her Miss Losanja Harrison, who basically she echoed the very same or similar issues. And some people had an issue with it. Some people wanted to challenge her. She was crying figuratively on behalf of the teachers and was just met with backlash, with blockages, with it like a stalemate, going nowhere. And I said to myself, this cannot be real. Beautiful Jamaican people. Two persons, spoke to me, well, in a sense, let me put it that way. And one individual said that she was not paid since 2019. 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 23, 4 years now. One said since 2020. And some people are going to have the audacity to talk about then when you have a lot of teachers graduating, some will have to go on some, as if, it's just something hairy-fairy. When our children are suffering, when in terms of the literacy rate, we're 138th place, and our other Caribbean counterparts, our other Caribbean brothers and sister countries are in the 20s. They're way up. Illiteracy is very low. They're in the 90s in terms of literacy, meaning most. And I guarantee you the ones who cannot read or write are probably babies. Babies. And I'm not saying this to knock people who cannot read or write in Jamaica, unfortunately, especially for the older generation. Some of you, your parents probably didn't understand education, didn't believe in it. They just believed in a sort of a manual, domesticated type of labor. And for them, the dream job was to be, back in the day, policeman or policewoman, teacher, definitely doctor and lawyer. But those were the sought after jobs. Now people dread becoming a teacher, especially in this country. 2019, one wasn't paid since 2020. Some monies. And the man said, the current president said that, the Minister of Finance met with them and promised that it would have been easier. I said, up to now, they cannot see any easier. The easier has not come into fruition. So my question to the Minister of Finance is this. Are you a human being or a zombie? Like, for example, if someone were to take like a pin and kind of stick you, would you feel it, or you just stand still and don't move? Like, would you actually, are you a living being, like a human being come from a woman? So if somebody were to take a spoon and boop you in the head, like boop you in the head, you'd feel it? Minister of Finance, I really have to ask these very, it may seem shallow, it may seem silly, but they're really not, because I don't think, since I've really understood politics or even recalled listening to a number of Jamaicans and their outcries about the different politicians from back in the day, even when I never followed politics, I don't think I've heard people beastly against a particular Minister of Finance as I'm seeing it now in today's day, since you've been in the post. If somebody were to do a silent survey of your colleagues, for example, not even talking about the opposition, because, people are going to say it's because it's the opposition, would they liken you unto like a King David, to say you are a man after God's own heart? Remember when he did wrong and the prophet Nathan went to him and gave him a parable, because he had to approach him with respect because he was the king. And David said, oh, that man should be killed and whatnot. And Nathan said to him, King David, that man is you. But what I loved about why he was considered a man after God's heart, one of, was that David humbled himself before God. He said, God, I've sinned against you and only you. And he repented. But he can get some beaten though, because no sin goes unpunished. He can get some beaten. He can get some beaten. God turn him and give, them beat picnic on them bottom. God turn him around and give him some beaten on them bottom. He can get some beaten. He learned his lesson. But he had a good character. That's why God kept him as king and he won all 66 battles. I'm wondering if you're human. I cannot, at least with the Prime Minister, that people may label this and label that and they call him all sorts of things. At least sometimes when it becomes a little pressuring, I suppose, I will see him try and act. I will see him try and do a little thing. At least you came and you put down a piece of tiptoes. You went on your toes when you put on that sermon. Trust me, not even Jimmy Swaggart, or him I did want to call, the very late, great and venerable Billy Graham. But I preach up a storm like you. You preached in that few months ago sitting House of Parliament. You put on a piece of, it was a preaching. You preach more than Paul and Peter. And you lobbied for the members of Parliament to get a salary increase, although they haven't gotten it for years. But you lobbied and it was okay for you to give the 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. I mean, I'm going to exaggerate. I'm using hyperbole. I didn't even hear you do it in parts. As well, you did the 20%. In 20%, you did 10, then 5, then 5, or 5, then 10, then 5. One lady said she's 17, she got. And I'm sure you did not do that. Are you like Mark Golden, who gave back some of his, majority of his? You don't have to give back the majority, but have you given back some of yours to help the poor, the needy, the indigent, the widows, the orphans? I don't know if anybody has checked to see if Mark Golden has kept his words, but I kept his word. I'm sure he has. I hear he doesn't. He himself stated that he doesn't even need to be paid from politics. I just wonder if you're human, sir. I just wonder if you're human or a zombie. Those zombies, when they turn into that thing, they will eat all their child. That's how the thing has gotten into them, poison their body. Because there's no way you can see public sector workers, teachers, who are significant and you do nothing about it. You go home every night and you put your head down on a pillow and sleep. You must get aid. You couldn't sleep comfortably. Because God gives sweet sleep to those, you see people with clean hearts, God give them sweet sleep. You must have to take something to help you sleep. There's no way. I cannot see a man of your caliber. When you go to school and you studied, you just studied to just be knowledgeable and not make it practical? No, sir. No. This not real, brother. Guys, follow me on TikTok. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please share this message.